So the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra, it just released and I have a full review on it for you today. I'm very excited about this tablet. It's definitely one of the best tablets you could buy on Android, but you might be wondering how it compares to the Tab S9 or the Tab S9 Plus. You might wonder if it's actually worth that $1,200 price tag, and you might wonder how it does work with the keyboard case and all those different things. Well, this is a full review, so I'm going to be covering a lot in this video, and over the next few months even, I'm going to talk about a lot of other Galaxy Tab stuff. So with all that being said, let's get into it with the Tab S9 Ultra, and let's check it out, and let's see if it is worth buying. Alright, so this Tab S9 Ultra, $1199 is the price. And if I'm just honest with you, if you compare it to the Tab S8 Ultra, you're not going to see a lot of differences. If you compare it as far as the physical specs, as far as the dimensions, it's nearly identical as far as those dimensions. So what are the differences, right? Is this tablet actually worth that $1199? Well, I want to start off first off by looking at the design of it. So as you could see, you still have that notch on the top of the tablet. So you do have that. You do have fairly small bezels all around the tablet. If you look at the back of the tablet itself, it looks a little bit different. For one, you have a different colored S Pen if you do buy this nice beige color, but you can actually put the S Pen this way or the other way. Of course, this does work the same way on the Tab S9 and the Tab S9 Plus, but it's still pretty cool here. But the big differentiator between the Tab S9 Ultra and the Tab S9 and the Tab S9 Plus, it's really going to be the cameras and the size of the device. So you do have two cameras on the back of this device, just like the Tab S9 Plus. But the regular Tab S9 only has one camera. So the Tab S9 Plus only has one front-facing camera, just like the regular Tab S9, but you get two front-facing cameras here on this tablet. You do still have an SD card slot, which is awesome to see. You do have an in-screen fingerprint reader. I do believe it's still an optical reader like last year, but it does still work very well, even with a tempered glass screen protector like I have installed. And the speakers, by the way, are a little bit louder than last year. It's not a significant improvement or a huge improvement, but they are definitely better than the Tab S8 Ultra speakers. I will say they are a little bit bigger. So there aren't a lot of differences between this and the Tab S8 Ultra, but I will say the camera differences are very, very important because this does have two cameras just like the Tab S8 Ultra, but the difference is the Tab S8 Ultra cameras, this of course adopts a similar design language on the Tab S9 Ultra to the S23 Ultra and all of those other Galaxy devices that have been coming out with those really large circular camera rings there. Well, you don't get that design language on the Tab S8 Ultra, which means the keyboard cover for the Tab S8 Ultra will not fit on this device. It's been very, very annoying hearing a lot of reviewers out there. Some people have made shorts on the device and they say, hey, the keyboard cover for the Tab S8 Ultra does work. Well, that is true. The bottom part of the keyboard cover does work, but when you look at the back of the device, you do have to remember that the cameras are a little bit different, not to mention the device itself has ever so slightly different dimensions. So, of course, the kickstand cover, the back part of that keyboard cover, that is not going to fit on this Tab S9 Ultra. And I am going to review this keyboard cover in full, and I'm going to review the slim keyboard cover as well. And I'm going to do that together in a separate video, so feel free to check that out when it does drop. But I do still want to mention that the keyboard cover is a lot nicer this year. Of course, it still is very, very expensive, but it is a lot more rigid, which is nice. So the Tab S8 Ultra keyboard cover, if I just flopped it around even a little bit in my hand, it would just pop that trackpad over and over. It was super, super flimsy. But this Tab S9 Ultra keyboard cover is just a lot sturdier in the hand. And I am a lot happier with it compared to last year's keyboard cover. It does feel just a little bit better in every single way. So of course, any keyboard cover for $350 is a little bit pricey, but I still like this keyboard cover quite a bit. And I do think it's a good addition to the lineup as a whole. Now, if we move on from the design and we look at the tablet itself and what it provides with the display and performance and battery life, That's really where it gets interesting because the display size is one of the only other differences between this and the other devices in the Tab S9 lineup. And that's really what you're paying for. If you are someone out there who wants a huge display on your tablet, and that is a very select group of people now, then you're going to love this tablet. But a lot of people, and if you've read my comments, you've maybe seen this. Some people just bought the Tab S8 Ultra and it was too big for them. You might be one of those people that might look at this Tab S9 Ultra, you think the size is going to be amazing, and then you'll find out just how big it is, and it might just be a little bit too big for you. So it is, again, 14.6 inches. That is very, very big. But you have to consider if you've had a 14-inch laptop or a 15-inch laptop, you do have to account for how big the keyboard is if you're trying to fit it into a space. But the difference with this tablet is you not only have to account for that keyboard space, but you also have to account for the kickstand space, right? So if you're trying to fly on a plane, for example, you have to account for all of this space on the kickstand because you are going to have to lay the tablet back a little bit, and also this keyboard. So you could just imagine how much space this tablet could take if you're on a plane. It's going to be a lot harder to use than a more portable device. And the Tab S9 Plus is still very, very big. It's still very, very portable. So for those of you looking for a good middle ground, I will be reviewing the Tab S9 Plus, but I think some of you aren't going to like this screen size. It might just be a little bit too big for you. But I will say some of you, it will grow on you over time. If you're someone who watches a lot of entertainment, this screen is absolutely amazing. Like, the resolution is great on this display. It's a 2960 by 1848 resolution. Of course, it's 120 Hertz on the screen, and the refresh rate just feels very, very smooth. You get that across all of the Tab S9 lineup, but it feels very, very good on this Tab S9 Ultra. And some other specs for you nerds out there, it does have a 239 ppi, and the brightness levels are higher this year, so it can get up to 930 nits of peak brightness. So yes, the normal standard brightness is about 420 nits, but a lot of you are going to have that adaptive brightness turned on, and when you're in one of those really bright environments, when you really need that extra brightness, it's nice that you could actually get that from this Tab S9 Ultra, and it does have a little more brightness than you get from the Tab S9 Plus or the regular Tab S9. But this tablet isn't just about brightness levels or things like that. Like, this tablet is just going to shine in ways other tablets don't, because we don't have a bunch of 14.6 inch tablets out there, and we don't have them with gorgeous AMOLED displays. And if you go out there and you buy a laptop, a lot of laptops at this price will not have a screen that's anywhere close to this good. Like, the screen is amazing for entertainment. It's amazing for the basic stuff you're going to do on it, but if you go beyond the basics and you use this for gaming, maybe you're someone who uses the S Pen, having this nice display is just going to really change the way you use a tablet. So I know I've said the Tab S9 Plus is a good middle ground, and that is true. It's a lot more portable, you could bring it more places, but it still is very large. But there's still a large group of people who just want the largest screen possible, and when you do have that for TV shows, when you have that for watching movies or YouTube, that is such a massive deal. It really starts to grow on you, and you realize how great having a large display really is. And then when you use the S Pen, and I know a lot of artists out there, they want a larger canvas. They want to be able to draw on the biggest canvas possible, or maybe you want to take notes on a large canvas, and it's going to be so vivid and vibrant on the screen, it's going to look amazing. So I think the Tab S9 Ultra is tremendous for those people who want the largest screen possible. That's really what you're spending all this money on. There's not significant differences between this and the S9 and the S9 Plus. There's really not. There's just two cameras, so if you're someone who wants to take a lot of video calls, maybe you do want to get this Tab S9 Ultra. But other than taking video calls and wanting that extra camera on the back, you're not really going to get much else. You will get a little bit of higher brightness levels, and you are going to get this larger screen. And if you're someone who values that, don't buy a small device that you're not going to like. That's something that a lot of people might do with this generation. They might buy the regular Tab S9 because it has OLED, but the problem with that is the kickstand and the keyboard. It is a little bit crammed, and you might not think it's a big deal, and maybe it's not for you. But a lot of you are going to realize, I don't want a crammed keyboard. And why get that crammed experience with a small device and a crammed keyboard when you could get this gorgeous gorgeous large AMOLED display. And that is really the type of person who should look at the Tab S9 Ultra. And finally, we have a tablet that just has a good, efficient processor, because you do have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, and that processor does allow this tablet to fly through pretty much anything. And of course, every single little thing I'm doing, whether gaming, whether multitasking, or even the software with Samsung DeX. This tablet flies through all of it. And it's amazing to think about something like Samsung DeX. I know you have Stage Manager out there for iPads, and it is improving over time with iPads and iPad Pros. That's great, but the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra has Samsung DeX, which is very, very unique. It does remind me of that laptop interface. I can't just plug it in very easily to a monitor. Just get a USB-C hub, plug in that HDMI cable to it, and you're gonna be able to have an amazing laptop-like experience. And that's what makes this tablet and a lot of other Samsung products very, very special, because Samsung DeX is just an awesome thing. One other thing I need to talk about is the S Pen. Of course, there's not a lot that's really different this year with the S Pen. It's not super, super different. You do get some different colors, I guess, depending on which tablet you buy and what color the tablet is. So it's nice to have a cool white S Pen here, or beige, or whatever you want to say. But the S Pen is tremendous. I think it's amazing that it comes with the tablet, because if you look at a lot of iPad Pros out there, you're not going to get the S Pen. You're going to have to buy an Apple Pencil on the side. It's going to cost more and everything like that. And if you say, well, the iPad Pro is cheaper. Well, I understand that, but the iPad Pro is also the same size as the Tab S9 Plus, which is a much better comparison with the iPad Pro. But when you look at this, it's in a whole nother league because of the screen size. And when you look at it, the S Pen is tremendous. For those of you who want to use it for college or taking notes, that is a huge reason why you're going to buy a tablet like this, because a lot of you artists out there, you are thinking about, I just need a larger screen. I want to draw this huge thing. A lot of you, when you paint or you do a lot of art, you do things like that, you like to have a large canvas for that. And in the same way, a lot of you are going to want an S Pen for that. You're going to want a large screen to take notes on, and that's going to be a huge thing, or to draw pictures or to have art. And for those of you who are artistic like that, this is so, so awesome for that. I can't describe how awesome it is to have a huge canvas to work with. So the S Pen is terrific. It could charge both ways, which is awesome. So I really, really like it this year. It's not much different, but I still think it's a cool addition. Of course, it does still have those extra Bluetooth features if you want to use those, and that is really great too. That's why it is rechargeable. So this tablet and all of the Samsung Galaxy tablets really knocked it out of the park this year. We now have water resistance, which is great. It is still 45-watt charging across the board with all of the tablets, which is fine, but we do have an SD card slot, of course. We have gorgeous AMOLED displays with good brightness this year, which I really love to see. You have great performance and even battery life. I would say the battery life isn't going to be better than, well, it's not really going to be that much better than the Tab S9 Plus, because the screen size is bigger. The screen size is naturally going to take a little more juice to power it. So I would say the battery life is just a little bit better than the Tab S9 Plus from my experience so far. The battery life is good, but it is much better than the Tab S8 Ultra. Like, you are going to get great screen time on this tablet, maybe even around 9 hours or 10 hours, because this Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 is so efficient. So this year is a really good year for Samsung, because you get 4 years of OS updates, you get a much better and more rigid keyboard, you get a tablet with water resistance, you get a tablet with a lot of other minor improvements, and even though it isn't that much different than the S8 Ultra, it's a tremendous tablet, and I would highly recommend the S9 Ultra to so many of you, but the question is it worth the price? $1,199. That is the retail price of this device. It is very, very high. You could spend $200 less and get the Tab S9 Plus, and $200 less than that and get the Tab S9. So is it worth it? My advice is simply, well, it depends, of course. Like, it is worth it to some of you. To those people out there who don't need Windows programs, maybe you want to use this as a laptop replacement. This is going to be a tremendous laptop replacement. And if you want a laptop replacement, I would not buy the regular Tab S9 for that. I would buy the Tab S9 Plus or the Tab S9 Ultra because you want a larger keyboard and you want a larger screen for laptop-like work. And this is going to be tremendous for that. This is going to be great for those of you who do a lot of entertainment, who do a lot of drawing with your S Pen, you want a larger screen. If you're one of those people, I would say absolutely it's worth it, especially with a lot of great deals that Samsung has put out there. Check the links in the description for those deals. I really think the Tab S9 Ultra is a great buy. But I will say this, if you have a Tab S8 Ultra, you're not missing a ton with the Tab S9 Ultra, but you are missing some things. You're missing water resistance, which might be a big deal to you. Maybe it's not. You are missing better battery life. You are getting a more efficient processor with the Tab S9 Ultra. That is true. And again, that battery life, it might add a couple extra hours to your battery life. And if you're someone out there who already has a used battery, you've had the Tab S8 Ultra for a while, and maybe they're giving you some elevated trade-in deals, it might be worth going for the Tab S9 Ultra. But honestly, if the battery life is okay for you, and if you're okay with the performance, the Tab S8 Ultra, you might not notice a big difference. Like when you're using it day to day, it looks about the same. The performance feels about the same. Yes, you get higher UFS storage, and that is cool and all. You get a little bit of faster storage on that tablet. But again, a lot of you aren't gonna feel that. Normal consumers don't notice those very small spec bumps. You do get 12 gigs of RAM in the base model, and that is great. You get 256 gigs of storage in the base model. But are you really gonna notice those super minor differences as far as RAM or as far as the processing speed just being a little bit faster? A lot of you won't. So if you have the Tab S8 Ultra, if you're content with the battery life, you don't have to feel like you need to upgrade, like it's an urgent thing. But there are still some big things that are important to people that make it worth upgrading to. So you don't have to feel bad if you have a Tab S8 Ultra and you want to keep it. But there are still, again, a lot of reasons to upgrade if you're someone who does want water resistance, maybe you're someone who does want better battery life or a better processor. Of course, those things are pretty normal when you get a refresh, but there are still a lot of great things to like with it. And this is still great for those of you, especially if you have a Tab S7 Plus or if you have an older tablet out there. This is a great buy for you because the Tab S7 Plus, to my knowledge, will not get Android 14. And they had a lot less Android updates back then on tablets. Now they're offering 4 years of updates. So I really think this Tab S9 Ultra is really worth upgrading to for those of you out there who are looking for a larger device. I think it's definitely a good buy to trade those devices in while you can, trade them in for those higher values while Samsung offers them, and just get this tablet while you can. That's just my opinion. But if you're needing something larger, I think it's between the Tab S9 Plus and the S9 Ultra. And that is a really, really tough decision, and I completely get that. So it really just depends on, do you need that extra camera? Do you want that larger display? Do you really need it for drawing or for other things? I would say you should buy the screen size that is best for you and just say, is this big enough for me or is this too big? Is this something I could fit in the ways I work as far as my college, as far as flying around? Would this fit into my life or would it be a little too big? No matter which way you go, I think it's a terrific device. I would definitely recommend it. And sure, there's a lot of bargains out there that will be out there for those of you who want the Tab S8 Ultra and all those Tab S8 devices. Those are still terrific devices. I'm sure they're going to go on sale. But for those of you who want the best of the best, it's a great device and I would highly recommend buying it. So thank you so much for watching this full review. I hope you liked it. Stay tuned to my channel. I'm going to have a lot of tablet content coming out for the Tab S9, for the Tab S9 Plus, and I'm going to do some updated reviews. I'm going to talk about some comparisons. I'm going to talk about all of the keyboard covers. So feel free to stay tuned to my channel and check out those links in the description. That is huge for smaller creators like me. It does help to support my channel and help to support me moving forward. So I hope you have a great day. And if you do have some time, by the way, check out some other videos. And please, whatever's going on in your life, I know it's rough. I know life can be hard. Take a breath. And I really, really hope you can enjoy your week.